It's time for Real Estate 101 with the Karey Brown team from Realty Executives Preferred Advisors.
Good Sunday morning to you. This is Karey Brown, broker, owner of Realty Executives Preferred Advisors, and you're listening to Real Estate 101. Today I am here with Lt Colleen Stewart, and she is from the police department, and we're going to be discussing a lot of really cool information that homeowners need to know. Good morning, Colleen.
Good morning.
So, let's start with home safety. What do you recommend homeowners do?
Well, this is Realty 101, so we'll just talk about the basics of home safety. We at the police department have several officers who are certified in kind of a security assessment program that's called CPTED, and that's crime prevention through environmental design. So we can come out to a business or a residence and walk around with the owner, kind of talking about the principles of CPTED, and that is access, surveillance, territoriality, and maintenance of the property. And within those, there are subcategories. But just to give some examples, when we talk about the outside of the home, what can we do to the outside of the home to make it more difficult for us to be a victim? We don't want to be a victim. So what can we do to prevent that? Well, there's landscaping, number one. So if you have trees in your front yard, we call it line of sight. If someone is walking down the sidewalk in front of your house or driving down the street in front of your house and they glance over at your house, are they able to get a clear line of sight from where they are to the front area of your house? Would they know at a glance that everything is okay or that there's a problem? And one of those things that you can do is to trim up your trees to a height of 7 feet, and that gives that clear line of sight. If you have shrubbery in front of your front windows or around your front porch area, trim those down to about 3 feet. And really, sometimes you have to think like a criminal. So is there a hiding place around my house that I could eliminate by trimming the landscaping? If you have windows that maybe you put mulch underneath the windows, again, if you think like a criminal, mulch is chewed up wood, so which that's pretty soft when you step on it. But you want to be alerted if something happens. And a criminal for sure doesn't want to be heard when they're trying to do something. So think of pea gravel or some type of river rock. So when you do step on it, it makes a louder noise and alerts you, maybe alerts your animals if you have animals. And they definitely, someone trying to come in doesn't want to be heard before they reach their target. Another thing that you can do is to plant what we call hostile vegetation. And that's any vegetation that has thorns on it. So you might consider some berry bushes or some rose bushes. So although it still provides that aesthetic, appealing look to your house, if someone were trying to hide behind it or to get behind it in order to gain entry to your house, they're going to leave some DNA behind for the police department when you call us. So those are just some things on the outside of the house.
So let's talk about vacation patrol. I had no idea that was even a service. That's awesome.
It is a service. We have our volunteers in police service, and these are regular citizens that volunteer their time to go through specific training with the police department, first of all through our Citizens Academy, to kind of introduce them to the police department, what services we have, what units we have, the capabilities that we have. And beyond that, they have specific training to be out on patrol, whether it's checking abandoned vehicles, helping with traffic control, and doing our vacation patrols. So when someone is looking toward vacation, maybe they don't have a neighbor that they know, maybe they don't have a family member, or they want an additional layer of security while they're gone, then they can fill out a form that's on our website, and it will ask several questions about alarm systems, animals, cars, lights, anything that you can imagine that a person might want to know to make sure everything is okay. And then those officers will patrol very often to check those particular residences, and they'll document that. And then when you come back home, you just call us back and say, hey, we're home. Everything is good. Thanks for looking out.
Is there a fee for that?
No, it is absolutely, there's no fee to it. That is a service that we provide as your police department.
That's amazing. So if you notice areas like, say, for instance, someone's been tampering with an AC unit whenever the home is vacant, do you guys do additional patrols, or what are things that homeowners could do to help prevent that?
The air conditioning unit, we haven't seen too many as of now, but summer has only now begun. And we do typically see them on vacant residences or residences that are for sale. As far as what can be done to try to prevent that, we go back to our SEPTED principles. So lighting is an important factor, not only for the air unit, but for the house in general. To have motion lighting on the outside of your house, again, alerts you to something going on and alerts others. And of course, the person wanting to break into the house or wanting to cause damage to the house does not want anyone to be alerted. So that's something that they would avoid. So lighting, especially around the air unit, motion lighting is probably the most important. There are audible alarms that you can attach to the unit, whether it's attached to your home alarm system or not, just something that's audible. So when that contact is broken, everyone within a certain amount of distance would hear it and become alerted to that. There are other technologies out there. It depends on how much you're wanting to spend to protect your air conditioner unit. But there are various technologies out there that wraps around the interior to make it more difficult to extract that copper. They have recommendations of putting a grate or some decorative fence around it so it's more difficult to gain access to. So there are things out there. It just depends on how much effort the homeowner is willing to put into it.
So if you're looking to buy a house and you're moving to the area for the first time and you just want to feel secure about your purchase, can they call in and ask as far as crime in the area or things like that around a specific address?
That's a great question. And yes, we have a crime analysis unit that can provide assistance. However, there's a website that anyone can go to check out a particular 100 block or a particular address to see what reported crimes are in that area. And that website is www.raidsonline.com. And we as a city subscribe to it. It's a voluntary program. And every day our crime analysts are uploading reports to that site. So it's a visual site. So it is a map with pinpoints of crimes that have been reported. And it allows the user to filter to specific crimes or filter to specific dates. It also allows for analytics. So you can see where the most crime happens over a period of time and what that crime is.
And what's that website again?
It is www.raidsonline.com. And Raids Online is all one word.
That's awesome. I had no idea.
It's a great site to go to. I offer it many times a day because that's a great place to go to see if it's your child that's going out for their first apartment or you're moving into the area and are unsure of where's a good place, where's maybe not such a great place. That's a great tool to have.
One of the things we tell homeowners is that just because, the prior owner has never had any issues doesn't mean that it's a bad neighborhood necessarily. And by looking at that, you can see what kind of history there is.
Yes, absolutely. And not only that for crime, but I'm sure you tell your listeners about the social network next door. So when they do choose to move in, they can really start connecting with their neighbors through that social media network as well.
Also, for registered offenders, will you explain where they should go to check that out?
If that's a concern, whether it be a violent offender, a sexual offender, a drug offender, whatever the case might be, you can go to the Kansas Bureau of Investigation's website, and there is a portion of that website where you would be able to type in either your zip code or an address and see the registered offenders in that area. So that combined with our Raids Online is really a great way to find the perfect place for you.
They just told us right away that we're going to house you, we're going to feed you, and every single one of his medical bills is just all taken care of.
They've saved my family from financial ruin. It allowed me and my wife both to focus on the most important thing, which was the health and well-being of our son.
We have phenomenal research, outstanding clinical care, and the generosity of public, which allow us to treat patients regardless of what it takes. And that's what makes St. Jude so magical.
At St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, families never receive a bill for treatment, travel, housing, or food, because the only thing a family should worry about is helping their child live.
Doctors send us the toughest cases to be treated at St. Jude, and our patients come from all over the world.
When we come here, they told me, don't worry, everything's been taken care of.
We could never repay St. Jude for what they've given us.
Because of you.
Gracias a ti.
Because of you.
There is St. Jude.
We've been angry.
We've been hurt.
We've been lonely.
We've been pressured.
We've been ashamed.
We've been miserable.
We've been hopeless.
We've been lost.
We've been labeled.
We've been invisible.
We've been controlled.
We've been judged. If you're one of the more than 26 million teens living in the U.S. today, chances are you'll go through your share of tough times. Let's face it, being a teen isn't easy. We know because we've been there.
We've been accepted.
We've been supported.
We've been confident.
We've been brave.
Check out reachout.com to hear teens share their own stories on how they've made it through tough times. You might even find ways to deal with all you're dealing with. Because we've been there, we can help each other.
We've been inspired.
We've been determined.
We've been acknowledged.
We've been given a chance.
We've been there.
We've been there. We can help us.
A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, the Inspire USA Foundation, and the Ad Council.
So let's go back to other things homeowners can do to keep their belongings and their families safe.
Sure. If we look at our entryways, we can just start with that. A lot of people spend a lot of time and energy and focus on their front door, not a lot to the back door. And what we find a lot of times on our break-in reports is that they're trying the doors. And although the front door may be the best model, they walk around into an enclosed backyard, first of all. We'll need to talk about that too. But they may find that the back door has not had that much effort put into it, and it's easier to get into. So what we usually suggest to homeowners is to look at all of your entrance doors, whether it's your front and back door or the entrance maybe from your garage into the house. That's usually a hollow core door and very easy to push open. So think about a steel door or a solid wood door, something that's pretty substantial. You also want to look at the door frame. You want to look at the screws that are put into the door frame. Are they the standard small, short ones that come with the door? And if it is, you want to take those out and throw them away immediately. Instead, you want to get at least 2 to 3 inch long screws and put those into the door jamb. And that really stabilizes that door. If your doors have deadbolts, you want to be sure that the deadbolt, the throw goes into the door frame at least an inch. Again, that provides that stability to the overall door frame, door jamb, and makes it more difficult, if maybe at sometimes impossible, to kick open. There's also technology out there that will basically wrap the door frame, the door jamb, and make it what the company will say is unkickable. So I'm not endorsing any product, but really you can do some research to make your home more secure at its entry points. So that's something to consider. If you have a storm door, use it. A lot of people have it, but they don't really ever lock it, and it needs to be locked to, again, provide that extra layer of security. When we're talking about crime prevention, there's really 4 Ds in crime prevention. We want to deny the person access to our property. So we're locking our doors. We have an alarm system. We're denying them access to what is ours. And then we're delaying their entry. Again, we have the deadbolt or we have the storm door locked. So that's causing problems for them. That's delaying their time. And they really don't want to spend that much time to get into your house or your car, that type of thing. Once they do get in, though, we want to be able to detect what they're doing, and as soon as possible. So that's where the alarms come in, whether it's an audible alarm that alerts not only you, but all of the neighbors around you and your alarm company. maybe it's a silent alarm that goes straight to the alarm company, but some way that you can detect there's something going on at your house. And then, of course, we want to deter the attack. And that's really through those SEPTED principles. We want to make sure our landscaping is such that anyone that walks or drives by is going to have a clear line of sight to our house and know, okay, everything looks good. Or wait a second, I see that window's broken. I live in this area. I know it's not, I know they keep up their house. Maybe I should call the police. So that's something to consider. Lighting is another SEPTED principle. So motion lighting will kick on when, of course, there's motion, and that will detect when someone is there and shouldn't be there. So there are certain things that when they come together provides layers of security for your residents. When we talk about windows, a little bit more difficult, but there are windows out there that are shatter resistant. There are tricks that you can do so that the window will only open to a certain degree, whether it's putting screws in the window sills to prevent someone from being able to climb in. So there are little tricks that can be done. There's also pretty inexpensive ways that you can help protect your house, not only with that trick of allowing certain level of access through the window, but inexpensive audible alarms to put on the windows. So when that contact is broken, again, that ear-splitting audible noise will alert everyone around, and that's the last thing that someone wants to know is that they've been detected when they're trying to break into the house. So those are some of the things. We talk about access, and that's denying them access. So that's through our locks, and that's through our alarms. We talk about surveillance, the line of sight. So we want to keep our landscaping trimmed up nicely. We want to have the lighting in such a fashion that anyone that looks on our property will see that everything is or is not okay. Territoriality is another concept of SEPTED, and that involves kind of subconsciously telling people where they're allowed to be and where they're not allowed to be. The sidewalk is public. Everyone knows they can walk on the sidewalk. When someone puts up a chain link fence from where the front yard meets the sidewalk, you know that you're not allowed beyond that chain link fence. That's private property. Same with the backyards. If you look at all the picket fences we have around town, the slats are put extremely close together. So even if you walk or drive by, you could not see what was going on inside that yard. And if you are thinking about crime prevention, if something were happening in that backyard and nobody could see, chances are that that person's going to gain entry and have all the time in the world in which to do so. So when you think about fences, there are what they call neighbor-friendly fences, whether it's chain link with maybe some of that plastic strips woven through it. So it provides privacy, but still allows for someone to quickly see that everything is or is not okay. Or you have the picket fences that have a little bit of space in between the slats, which again still provides privacy, but allows for someone quickly running by to see that there's movement or there's not movement. So a lot of things that can be tweaked in order to better protect your property.
Let's talk about home detection systems, so alarm systems.
Right.
What is your take on that?
Well, I know, being a previous dispatcher, I know that when an alarm system is tripped, typically the process is that signal will go to the homeowner's alarm company. They will, depending upon the type of alarm, call the homeowner or the residents to make sure that everything is or is not okay. And if they get no answer or they get the wrong passcode, then they will call the dispatch center and we will dispatch an officer to that residence. So a lot of time is actually involved in that process. You've already lost a good 5 to 6 minutes before an officer is even dispatched out to your home, as opposed to having an audible alarm and the alarm company. So when you have the layers, again, we're talking about layers of safety and security. An audible alarm is going to alert everybody around you. at the same time notify your alarm company, who then goes through that same process. So you have the potential of cutting down several minutes by neighbors immediately calling the police. Hey, my neighbor's alarm is going off. I don't know what's going on. And we dispatch somebody out there. Then supported by the alarm company calling maybe a couple of minutes later to confirm that, yes, they have had an alarm go off. So something to consider.
Another great thing that I think is neighborhood watches.
Yes, absolutely.
If your neighborhood doesn't have one, does the police department help them establish one or give them guidelines that they could create one?
We have a great partnership with a community organization called Safe Streets. And Safe Streets actually will help you create a neighborhood watch or get you connected with an existing neighborhood watch. So Safe Streets would be a great place to call. They would also encourage not only the neighborhood watch, but the joining of Nextdoor, which is that social network again. So again, we're talking about layers of prevention to keep your property safe.
And I know with Facebook, there's a lot of communities that have created one, and they verify your address, make sure that you actually live in the area.
Correct, yes.
And they notify each other, strange vehicles, mail missing.
Correct.
All that great stuff so that you know what's going on.
Yes. You know, people are so busy nowadays that they may not even know their neighbor. But this gives the people of today, you know, that social media connection with their neighbors. Maybe it's not an everyday, hey, how are you doing? Good morning, as you walk out to your car to go to work. But it's that social media connection that accomplishes virtually the same goal. So it's a great tool to have. And if you are able to join your existing neighborhood watch, it's a great group to be a part of, to help each other and to support each other. And if not, then I would encourage them to call Safe Streets and have one started.
Okay, so whenever you're going out on vacation, what are things that you should be doing as a tenant or a homeowner for your house?
And we just talked about neighborhood watches, and we just talked about Nextdoor. So if you belong to those types of organizations and you've built up that trust with your neighbors to have someone watch your house, that's great. You can definitely use our vacation patrol for our volunteers and police services. That's yet another layer. You know, we keep coming back to the layers of safety and security, but there are still some things that you can do as a renter or as a homeowner to help with that safety. Number one, you can stop your mail for the time being. Nothing says somebody's gone other than a whole bunch of mail piled up in your mailbox and a lot of newspapers in your driveway or on your front porch. That says there's something amiss. So stop your mail. If you get any subscriptions such as the newspaper, maybe put a hold on the newspapers as well. If you have timers for your interior lights, that'd be a great time to use them. If not, consider it to time your interior lights and possibly the radio or the TV. So it's not obvious that someone is gone the entire time, because certain things keep happening as they would if somebody was staying at the house. And then it's always good to have that trusted neighbor or that trusted family member come to check, to physically check on the house, which is a great reason why, again, that vacation patrol form that we have to utilize our volunteers is yet another good layer to utilize for when you're away on vacation.
Can you share any other services that the police department offers to homeowners, and tenants and such to help protect their home?
Sure. We did talk about the vacation patrols and our volunteers. That's a free service that we provide. And I mentioned the SEPTED early on for businesses and residences, kind of a security assessment of the home. And that's also a service that we provide. So maybe the next question would be, okay, well, how do I get one of those scheduled, and who is it that would do that? Well, that would be in our community policing unit. And there are 12 territories. The city is split up into 12 territories. So no matter where you live, you're going to have at least one officer specifically assigned to that area in our community policing unit. So you would be able to just give them a call, let them know your address. Maybe if you already have some concerns or you just have questions about the area and you'd like to have a security assessment on your property, then you can start to get to know and build that relationship with your community officer. They can come out, and what they will do is, just like we talked about the different concepts of CPTED with the access, the territoriality, the maintenance, and the surveillance, they will go through each of those concepts with you as you walk around the outside of your property and the entrance points. Not so much on the inside, because it's really about hardening the target, and that's on the outside. So they'll go around with you, and typically they'll take some pictures, and they'll put together a report just for you. Now, I will say that in the past, on some of the properties that I have done, the homeowner's insurance has appreciated that report and may even give a discount because you've taken that extra step to trying to improve the safety of your property. So something to consider, something you'd have to check with your homeowner's insurance agent about, but that's a possibility. So the end report is going to have not only the listing of how well it is, but recommendations on how to make your property something that lessens you as a potential victim.
Okay, what numbers should the consumers call for the programs that we've been discussing?
Right, so here are all the phone numbers. First of all, we always encourage that if you see something, say something. So if you see something suspicious in your neighborhood, but you don't believe it's an emergency, then you call our non-emergency number. That's 368-9551. 368-9551. Now, if you are a homeowner or even a renter, truly, and you are interested in a security assessment of your property, or you just want to get to know your community officer in the area, you can call 368-2500, 368-2500, and leave your name and number and address so the right community policing officer can get a hold of you and schedule that. Now, for those who are interested in a neighborhood watch, either joining your existing one or creating one, you can call Safe Streets at 266-4606, 266-4606. If you are interested in a vacation patrol form, that is on our website, topeka.org, and you can go to the police department, and the form will be there. You'll have to print it out, I believe, and bring it in or mail it in, and we'll make contact with you to set up the time frame for that vacation patrol.
And otherwise, if it's an emergency, call 911.
And as always, if it is an emergency, you can call 911. Absolutely.
Thank you so much for your service. I don't think you guys hear it enough how wonderful you are and how amazing you have to be to do what you do.
Oh, well, we appreciate it. Thank you. We enjoy serving our community.
And thanks for listening to Real Estate 101. If you're looking to buy or sell a house, give us a call at 785-213-5188.
Thank you for listening to Real Estate 101 with the Karey Brown team from Realty Executives Preferred Advisors. Tune in again next Sunday at 11 o'clock for Real Estate 101.